Hi, my name is Ursula Darby. I'm a public speaker, a certified grief educator, and a psychic medium. I've been on the front line of grief, spirit, and survival for the past 21 years. And I'm also a former stand up comedian. This podcast tells the truth about this work, how it started for me, what it's really like, and the parts that no one will say aloud. I'm a skeptic. I hate cliches and the garbage that is in this industry. You won't get that here. I am bringing you up to date. My last episode was episode 5, and I talked about the friend that had taken me to the home that had a lot of activity in it. The experiences I had in her home. I felt dismissed, and I felt misunderstood, and also I know you're listening to me going, really? Like, why? I still hadn't told anybody. First of all, I hadn't told anybody about my experiences um, because I was scared how my family responded to me. That wasn't good. And as as these experiences accumulate, I'm only telling you some of them. I mean, there's so many more than this. These are the ones that stand out the most to me. And I want to share with you that through this time frame, I was having nightly experiences anyway. They had not stopped. And I didn't know at the time, as I share with you now, I didn't know at the time that this is considered mediumship. This is considered spirit communication. Spirit communication equates to mediumship or being a medium. And everyone in the world is a medium. Of course, in my lifetime, going through this experience at that time, that's not, people weren't talking about being mediums, really. If they were, I didn't hear that much about it. And so I didn't know what it was. And so my nightly experiences were that. And they weren't comfortable. They weren't, I couldn't make any sense out of them. No one in spirit that was visiting me or making visits to me, no matter where I had stayed over or stayed at home or someone else's house or on vacation or in a hotel or anywhere, no one in spirit that was visiting me was saying anything to me. They weren't talking to me. I would hear the conversation. Blah, 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 blah. I would hear groups of people, and I couldn't make out what they were saying. They were, oh, and so I could hear them like they were from a distance, but they were right in the room right beside me. And they were mumbled conversations that you just couldn't make out the words, but you knew they were speaking. You knew they were speaking to each other or groups of each other, groups of people. No one said my name. No one talked directly to me. So going forward, I maintained this friendship because I put a lot of weight into their knowledge. And this is why. Because I didn't know what was happening to me. I couldn't make sense out of what was happening to me. I couldn't sit and say to someone, hey, listen, you know what? This is what's going on. This is what I'm experiencing. I could, like I am to you now. However, I was so scared. I was questioning my own mental health. I was questioning my own stability. And I kept trying to find myself, my story, my experience in other people. And it wasn't working. I was getting dismissed. I was getting ignored. I was being made fun of. I was being mocked by my own fucking friends. Like there isn't a shittier feeling. No, we thrive in community. We thrive in groups with each other. And I felt alone. I felt lost. I felt misunderstood. I felt uncomfortable. I didn't feel safe. And all of those feelings and the experiences that matched that stopped me from saying, hey, you know what? This is what's going on. Let me lay it out for you. And my stomach hurts saying this. And my stomach was fine before I started talking about this. So this friend of mine, the psychic, the so-called psychic, um, she had her friend generously had gifted me with a reading with someone who's well known. And I was shocked and surprised. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. Wow, like, what do I do with myself? And how do I prepare? What am I? What do I do? How do I participate? What's happening? Like the excitement was just all throughout me because I'm like, this is wow, this is this is incredible. Because of course I'd been to psychic fairs before. I'd been to like the huge psychic fair that would happen in Toronto every year at the Queen Elizabeth building, and um, I had readings there, and no readings that I'd had. There weren't any readings that I'd had up to date that were accurate in any way. They're generalized, like, oh, you're going to get married, oh, you're going to have kids, you're going to have a family, and oh, you're going to have a dog, and you're going to have white picket fence, and you're gonna, blah, 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 right? Like nothing that was really accurate in any way. So it wasn't really supportive or helpful, and no one to that point in time, in any of those readings that I'd received, were they accurate about anything about me or my experiences in any way. And I didn't say anything in the reading. I just let them read me. So got gifted this reading. Super exciting. Like, whoo. And it's funny now. I feel my heart like boom, 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 boom. Here it comes, here it comes. And we travel together in the same vehicle, get to this person's home, and this person lives in Toronto somewhere. And I don't even remember where, I have no idea. Because at the time I just didn't pay attention. I wasn't driving. Woo! And, and we actually went to this person's home, and we had to wait one at a time. And so we waited. I can't even remember what area it was or where I was sitting or really what was going through my mind. None of those kinds of things. And I it was finally my turn, and met this person, and they took us to the room, and they used a couple tools, and um I don't think, no, they didn't use tarot cards, crystals, oracles, nothing like that whatsoever. um I know that they'd used a tool, but it was something really minimal, and a psychic tool. When I say tool, it wasn't a hammer. No, sorry. I was gonna act out. You're gonna say yes. And anyway, I digress. Um, and the reading had started. I don't remember the entire session. I do remember that the things that stood out to me. And this person said within the first minute or so, because I didn't say anything, um, they said, "You're psychic." And they said, "You are so psychic. I believe that you're so talented and so skilled that I'm going to give you my personal number, and I'm going to mentor you, and I'm going to help you." I said, without missing a beat, without missing a beat, I said, "You're full of shit." And she's no, seriously, seriously. And she went into explaining what she was picking up, what she was noticing, what she was aware of about me. And it was just unbelievable and shocking to me. And I just kind of felt kind of checked out and bizarre that this person would say this to me right away. And they gave specific descriptors. And the reading ended. And my other two friends had had their sessions, and we were going to celebrate and go for a meal afterwards. And we all pile in the vehicle, and we're driving to this restaurant, and so that the two of them were like, "Oh, it was so great, it was so much fun," and I was just dumbfounded and kind of checked out in the back seat, kind of like dazed, right? Dazed and confused, really, is what I want to say, because I just didn't know what to do with the information they had given me, which doesn't make sense. And so the two of them asked me, like, what did they say? And, what did they share with you? And, what happened? And I started in saying what I just said to you. And they both burst out laughing. They thought it was the funniest thing that they'd ever heard. And they were like, they clearly they clearly made a mistake with you. You're obviously not psychic in any way, shape, or form. That's our friend here. Like, I mean, yeah, they obviously made a mistake. They didn't mean it was you. And, They weren't talking about you. You don't have any kinds of skills or anything. That's ridiculous. Oh my God. Like, what a joke. And that tone was what they took the entire time. And I felt, I felt like someone had pulled the rug out from under me. And I never felt so alone or lonely and so hurt that I was the brunt of the joke. Ironic now because I'm a stand-up comedian. Then, though, it felt so awful because I felt like I was being mocked. I felt like I was being made fun of. I felt like I was and am the joke. Awful feeling. A really, really awful feeling. And the rest of the night, the two of them had a great time and they celebrated. They were super happy and I just went along with it and pretended that I wasn't hurt because I didn't want any more attention. I didn't want the attention on me at all. Ooh, heavy, really heavy. I pulled away from these people and just because we didn't see eye to eye. We didn't understand each other and I didn't really feel safe with them to tell them. And I certainly I didn't want to be the brunt of the joke again. And I didn't, if I really told them what was happening to me, like how much worse could it possibly get? Because it was really, I felt really, 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 really bad. So I learned early on that with the very few people that I reached out to try to understand myself, that I felt like I didn't matter. I felt like my experiences didn't matter. I felt like it's not the really big deal. It's, like, and even with me without me saying it. So what I from that experience and the ones earlier than that, there was many others, is that I started to do the things that the psychic told me to do, right? Like, who doesn't do that? um, they had said to me I, they recommended a couple different books, and they did give me their private number and their email, and I didn't reach out to them at all. I started reading the book that they suggested, and I'm pretty certain, wait, brace yourself. Pretty sure they recommended, this is really embarrassing, The Complete Guide to Psychics. Pretty sure that was it. There was a whole series that were really popular. They were pretty sure, like the 90s is what the time they were popular. And I know it sounds ridiculous and it sounds ridiculous to you listening to me. And to me, I was just like, oh my gosh, you gotta be, if I, this is, whatever. I got the book. And out of curiosity, I got the book and started reading. And the book is a series of exercises to practice different things, and things like using Zener cards. I might be pronouncing that wrong. Zener cards are cards that have different images on them. And if you hold the card up in front of you, so you're seeing it, but the person who is being tested psychically can only see the back of them, that they would have to say, I'm seeing a star. And I don't know all the symbols, but I'm pretty sure star is one of them. Star, square, exclamation mark, whatever those things are. And they're like, and that's how you're like the other person testing will pull the card and look at the back of the card and then say, I'm seeing this, I'm feeling this, I'm noticing this. And that was one of them. There's many others. Scrying. If you don't know what scrying is, pretty sure that would have been in there. Scrying is looking into, there's a couple ways that you can scry, like many different ways. Technically, is that you are staring at and paying attention to in a quiet room or space at something in particular in the room. Almost looking off kilter, like just a little bit beside of where it is. And you're essentially waiting for information to be given to you as you're looking at, you would have been in a meditative state and you're staring at this thing. So scrying, you'd be scrying, you could be scrying a mirror, a regular mirror, a black mirror, a crystal ball, scrying into a crystal ball, right? Like that focus. You can scry water, right? You can look at water and look for that information that way. Sand, like there's literally sand. Like someone actually showed that to me once. Like there's look at there, I could read the sand, see this thing, right? And I'm just like, shut up, no way. Not that I believe everything. I'm a massive skeptic, remember? So there's a reason why I was skeptical. That would be the reason with my experiences so far that I've just been questioned 1,000 times. So I'm just like, okay, as I get into this, I am being skeptical about every single thing. Really, let's just preface it with that going forward. Everything that I looked into, everything that I researched, put my heart into, I used a heavy level of skepticism with it. I may not have said it out loud to the person teaching. Why would I do that? Because that's what they're teaching us. That's not my business if someone's teaching me something. So in this instance, I started practicing these exercises. And one of them at the time being psychometry. And psychometry is where you hold an item of someone's that has either passed away or the person that you're going to read that's alive. It could be a piece of jewelry, it could be a piece of clothing, it could be a picture. It mainly is something that that person has worn. That's how I experience psychometry. Something that someone else has worn, so you would hold the item. So that at that time I was really like, well, if someone's worn it, like if it's an antique, then you're going to pick up what the person that had worn it before. Strong possibility. And so I started asking people in my life, just, people that I worked with, associates, and said, hey, listen, you know what? I'm practicing this thing and I just want to know, can I read you? And they're just like, what? Sure, do it. Right. So, because some people are just totally on board, like, let's do this thing. So I started practicing and I started getting information intuitively, psychically. And I couldn't believe it. So I would get that information and then I would tell the person that I was holding, often like a piece of jewelry was the one, like I'd hold a ring or a watch and necklace. And I'd say, I'm hearing this thing or I'm seeing this. And they'd say, yes. I'm like, that's my house. That's my living room. That's my best friend. That's like, and I tell them what I was picking up and I was correct. So I kept practicing and practicing and practicing and practicing and practicing just asking people. I wasn't randomly just reading people because I didn't know I could do that. I had no clue. Right? Like I didn't have the most supportive people around me. So I didn't believe me. I didn't believe my experiences. I didn't believe these things until I had evidence. And that evidence is accuracy. That's what I would equate it to. And I didn't ask people anything. I didn't ask them anything. I didn't ask and say, what do you want to know? Who do you want to talk? I've never done that my entire time of practicing and working professionally. I've never asked people why, because of, like I said, I would go to like psychic fairs or I went to like really big psychic shows and you would see people asking questions or, oh, I'm going to tell your fortune. I'm just like, I can't, I'm not that person. I'm not those people. I'm like that. Like, I'm not walking around in some mystical outfit with stars on it. And, just when people say you're a psychic, right? Well, people, when they're like, oh, you're a psychic, you're like, oh, or do you look at a crystal ball and, do you have some medieval outfit on or whatever, like whatever that idea that pops into your mind. Someone actually said to me once, um, this comes to mind. Someone said to me once when I was already in practice, already working, that they, oh, what do you do? Because people always ask that question, what do you do? And I handed them my card and my picture was on it. And it said what I did. And they said, oh, you look so normal. Mm, that doesn't sum that up. I started practicing, started reading people, and I started to gain a little bit of confidence. And at that same time, I had started studying in college massage therapy to become a registered massage therapist. And of course, you're putting hands on people to treat them, right? You're just, is this a good idea? My clients would tell you it was an amazing idea and that they still love me. And I'm about to ruin that for everybody. I hope you want to hear about what happened when I was working as a massage therapist. Yeah, I'll leave that there. You've just listened to episode 6, and where I've just kind of started, tiptoeing into trying to figure myself out and the things that were happening to me to give that some space. And not there yet. I'll get there. You've been listening to Ursula Darby. This podcast is the raw truth about grief, spirit, and life with honesty, humor, and no BS. Thanks for being here.